single leg circle in the mat work is, to me, one of the hardest beginning exercises that there is. Tension in the hips, weakness in the hips, instability in the sacrum, the low back, weak at low abs, all of these things contribute to a whole lot of things moving and grooving around, when really it is as simple as a single leg circle. And we're gonna look at some of the anatomy of like how much more complicated that is, but still, if you come back to the simplicity that you are really just trying to articulate the rotation of a ball and a socket of the femur in the acetabulum, it makes it a whole lot easier to understand the rest of it. So grab your TheraBand because it always comes in handy whether you have tight hamstrings or you're just having a hard time finding your range of motion. Another thing I recommend, which is really helpful for that leg that stays on the mat, what I like to call your standing leg. If you can anchor that bottom leg, whether it's bent or straight, and we'll look at it here in a minute, even if you have a second TheraBand and like tie it to a chair or tie it to something so you've made yourself a loop, this will come in so handy here in just a second. So here we go, your single leg circle. First thing, when you lie down, now hopefully you can actually see what I'm doing here, so I'm going to pull my shirt up so that you try and find the front of your pelvis, these little bones. It's called your cis. There's some fancierness for that, but you know, find them, right? You don't want them all walkie-cocked, trying to find that nice pull up. You know, your single leg circle isn't the first thing you do. You've done your 100 and a few other things, so you should be warm in this whole area, let's say, right? But when that leg comes up and you take your first stretch, I always ask people to stay level in the pelvis. Don't go to this place. Don't go to that place. Stay level in the pelvis. Look for an easy flex and point. That nerve gliding motion up through the back of the leg, that's a lot for a lot of people. A lot for a lot of people. Give it a little climb up mock tree. Here's where I let people go to that extra place because you can still see and still reference what's going on here. Again, because all of that is movement in the lumbar sacral area. That's not isolating to where we gotta get, right? Okay, so then I'll take this up, and that's when I ask people to send that standing leg down, because you'll see any tightness in the front of this hip and quad, yank, torque. It's also where the real tightness in this hamstring might begin to show up for people who are more intermediate, right? The advanced super flexible people will still be like, what? It's not a stretch, I'm just here. You know who you are, okay? Right, so here we go, you get your flex and point. I throw in all variations of tree at this point, it's good stuff. Now, the single leg circle as is, you've got 5 each direction. Forget about the word circle, make a box of 4 points. This isn't a point. Point 1 is the cross. Point 2 is that down. Point 3, the open reach, which is really diagonal, friends, right? To point 4. Okay, you can say 5 points, home, right? But in terms of circling, once you start articulating, your foot clearly has to hit those points before you turn it into something smooth, down, round, up, home. Smooth, down, round, up, home. In the reverse, opening, reverse, which points you hit, that cross being exceptionally hard to return from, right? Open, down 2, cross 3, 4.75, right? Okay, there you go. Now I'm going to shake that leg out. I'm going to roll up and I'm going to now anchor this leg. Boom. Scooch back in the strap. La la la. Now if someone's got a bent knee, this will particularly help if they're under something, because in the bent knee, people love to like just kind of like forget, right? It's easy to forget about this guy anyway, right? But bent or straight, pull that flexion in the ankle, bring it back up, under that hammy, and let all this open, especially if you just work that side. So, left leg. Here's now where I'm going to talk about how your TheraBand can help you with your range of motion, right? It can help you with your stretch, right? But this can replace any overactivity and hyperactivity to get over involved in that rectus femoris quad muscle, right? Because it can get all bunchy up in here, and now look, I've broken all of this, right? Meaning I'm moving something other than my single leg. So this band, I stand up into it. Yes, use my shoulders. Yes, use my arms to pull, but stand. Stand, stand, stand. Guide the circle with the goal of finding that simplistic movement of the femur in the pelvis and not this guy, because what's really moving there? A lot more than just my leg, a lot more than just the single leg. And you see me like fall down in the mat, push up the mat. That's literally in vertical, you falling down in gravity, then trying to get back up, right? And this is my trashy leg. So when I really hit that center, you're gonna see some shaking. I'm gonna shake out the weakness. Back center. Now the last thing I want to talk about is what is really happening in this hip and side. So very much. Because I actually have to really stabilize this whole pelvis on this leg, which takes a lot of work. Inner thigh here as both inner thighs cross, coming down into the back of both hamstrings, into both glutes, so that I can open this hip and still maintain the opening in this hip, right? Like, so your booty's gotta be working. Transfer that work across, over to that third point, up. This place here, if this is not opposing, my whole pelvis is gonna get rocked. So all this work down here on this leg, I love how I keep pointing at stuff, right? Has to help pull you back. Oh, that was a lot of work. If you fall off, it's a lot of work to come back. But that's the joy of the circle. If you get out there, use that movement to bring you back. Don't just be like, yay, my leg fell, and then blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. You're gonna mess up, you're gonna not be happy. Now, there's some advanced versions out there where there is a lumbar spiral. Now, spiral, twist, I should say, twist, where your lumbar gets to twist, meaning your pelvis has the ability in the cross from that rotation. Notice my foot down there does turn in the strap a little bit. I put it under there so you can see it. Comes down, it opens the front of both hips. Now this place, am I gonna throw or am I gonna keep that length and use my hips to help pull me back round to come back center? Abs bring back that leg. In the reverse, opening down round. It's not this, where now see like I'm like, brr. It really is taking that corkscrew action of the lumbar spine. This moment here, not collapsing back, although that does feel good for different purposes. Finding where the outer hip, as it would bring the leg across, is going to bring this whole side back. Where's this leg gonna catch so you don't go over there? Not too complicated, right? Single leg circle.